Pinball is a game that's been around forever. Though the actual invention date is unconfirmed, there are arguments that place the first pinball concept as far back as the 1500s. Evolving from games like bocce and billiards, pinball as a game has taken on many forms, before settling on the arcade machines we know and love today. The concept of the modern game is simple, using mechanical flippers to launch a metal ball into various obstacles and other table decorations to score the most amount of points before the ball falls between the flippers. It's a game that's simple and easy to understand no matter who you are. With the game being as popular as it is, and as simple as it is, it only makes sense that pinball would find its way into other forms of media, from songs to movies, and today's topic, video games. As far as I can tell, the earliest video game pinball was Atari's Video Pinball System, released in 1977. However, there is one company that has put an extreme emphasis on pinball games, Nintendo. This is a look into Nintendo's strange obsession with pinball games. Let's get started. Based on the Game & Watch game, Pinball for the NES was Nintendo's first full video game pinball title. Here in North America, the game acted as a launch title for the console. Beyond the NES version, Nintendo also released the game for the Nintendo Versus line of arcade cabinets. It technically counts as a Mario game, as the bonus room you can access has you play as Mario while trying to save Paulina in a Breakout-style minigame. It was received fairly well, with a lot of the criticism being aimed at the price of the game at the time, and a number of physics glitches. For the time it was released, this is pretty good. It's simple, for sure, but the overall gameplay experience is far better than a couple of the ones we will look at later. There isn't a whole ton to say about this game, since it's simply a basic pinball game. There isn't really any point to playing the game or revisiting it now, since there's so many better options, but for the time of release, I could see how this could have been mind-blowing. Having developed a number of pinball games in the past, it only made sense to create one as Kirby's first spin-off. The player assumes control of Kirby as they bounce him around 3 different pinball lands, scoring points and attempting to defeat the bosses at the end of each one. Each boss also has a minigame to play to beat them, including a Breakout-style game where you control multiple Kirby balls, an eating minigame where you have to hit food up to another Kirby, and a soccer game where you have to hit the Kirby into a goal, avoiding the squishy squid goalie. I thought this game was amazing for the hardware it's on. For being the first Kirby spin-off game, it's amazing that they managed to pack so much Kirby soul into what is unmistakably a Kirby game. The ball always seemed to be fairly accurate to where it was shooting, and the speed and physics weren't very frustrating. I will say the bosses were a little tough, but I think that mostly comes down to a skill issue more than anything. The fact that there's this much content shoved on a Game Boy cartridge makes this an amazing game to pick up and play whenever, and keep you busy when you do. I've also played a few of HAL's other pinball games, and they only keep getting more polished with each passing one. Pokemon Pinball had one major unique thing to it, and that was the inclusion of a rumble pack built into the cartridge. Beyond that, the game has a few twists on the normal pinball gameplay, the biggest of which being the catch mechanic. Hitting certain things on the board will initiate catch mode, where the player then must hit the bumpers at the top of the board until a wild Pokemon appears, and then hit the Pokemon a few times until you catch them. The Pokemon that you can catch is based on your location, something you can also change by hitting certain things across the board. There are a number of mini-games, including a bowling-like game starring Diglett, a battle with Gengar, a coin-collecting game with Meowth, and a whack-a-mole game with Seal, and a jackpot game with Mewtwo. I was so surprised at just how Pokemon this game was, if that makes sense. They really managed to shove as much love and soul into this game as they possibly could, and the changes that they did make were so endearing. The catch mechanic especially was my favorite part. It's just such a cool idea. I also liked the bonus stage minigames. They added even more variety to a game that already had a lot. I know the next one is considered even better, so if the bar is already this high, I can't wait. This game shares almost everything with its Game Boy Color counterpart. However, the bonus board minigames in this one are different. We have a hide-and-seek game with Kecleon, a rock-breaking game with Groudon, a battle with Dusclops and then Kyogre, and finally, a big boss with Rayquaza. Another new addition to this game is the Pokemart, where players can spend coins collected on the board to buy helpful items that can make the board easier. The boards feature different areas you can travel to as well, just like its predecessor. This game is peak. I had so much fun with this game, and I wish it would get re-released on something more modern, although it is on NSO as the time of this writing. There are so many different improvements than the GBC title. The boards are so full of detail and content, it's a treat for the eyes to look at. The catch mechanic is mostly the same, but the overall snappier physics and ball momentum made everything as smooth as butter. Both boards also felt completely unique from each other. If you're going to play a pinball game on the GBA, this is the game to play. I wish we saw more Pokemon pinball titles, because they're clearly on the right track of how to make the perfect game. Mario Pinball Land began conception after Adrian Barrett and Richard Horrocks founded the game company Fuse Games. Wanting to make a pitch to Nintendo, the two developed a demo featuring the first and last areas of the game. It was then pitched to Nintendo of America, who approved the project. Production began originally on the GameCube, but due to a lack of resources, the game had to transition to GBA. Development lasted 18 months with a team consisting of only 5 people. The player takes control of Mario, who uses a new machine to turn himself into a ball and save Peach, who has been kidnapped. Progression is based on star count, just like any other Mario game, that are obtained by completing different tasks, such as hitting all the Goombas or defeating bosses. It has since been referenced in WarioWare Move It as well. I played the game before knowing that it was only made by 5 people. However, even after learning that, I still have to be honest. It's bad. Like, really bad. For GBA, I think this game looks gross. I commend them for trying to do something close to 3D on a Game Boy, but it just doesn't work all that well. That aside though, the biggest thing I can say about this game is that the ball physics are unreal. Someone on the team forgot to make a speed cap on Mario, and it makes getting anything precise or aiming a complete chore. You hit the ball and suddenly Mario is flying through the stage at 400 miles an hour. There are only a few positive things I can say. The variety of the boards and the overall environments were pretty good, although as mentioned, the graphics were ugly. If the controls were just tweaked a little and the physics were dialed down, they could have had something special. Like, the concept of earning stars for doing stuff and using the Mario environments has so much potential, but it's stuck in such a bad game. After finishing Mario Pinball Land, Nintendo expressed interest in making another one, this time based on the Metroid franchise. The responsibility again went to Fuse Games, and more funding and tools were provided by Nintendo. Retro Studios, the developer of the mainline Prime games, also assisted by giving Fuse 3D assets from the first 2 Prime games. With the new resources, work began. Due to hardware limitations, the decision was made to use pre-rendered backgrounds and simplified colors for the 3D environments in an effort to give more resources to the physics. The player takes control of Samus, who has to use her spinball move to complete different mission modes on the 4 tables available. In Japan, the game did not sell a single copy in its first week, although was otherwise received well in other territories. This game is wild to me personally. For how serious of a franchise Metroid is, having a pinball spin-off just feels super weird. With that being said, I actually had a lot of fun with this one. I liked the bigger variety of objectives on the board, and it led to really engaging gameplay that I felt was missing from most of the other pinball games. This is definitely a lot more competently made than Mario Pinball Land, and is a solid time. Do I think it's a good pick up and play when you want some pinball? Not really, but I think it's a good thing to at least experience as an odd entry in the Metroid Prime series. I understand that pinball is such a big game, but it's still so funny to me that Nintendo spent a ton of time on the Game Boy making pinball spin-offs to their properties. Most of these games are still pretty good though. I particularly really liked the Pokemon ones. It's a shame that they don't really do this kind of thing anymore, because there's still plenty of fun to have in a simple pinball game with cool themes. Nintendo wasn't the only company to do this either. Sega was really big on doing the same thing with their properties. And I know I'll be playing a few of them for Sonic Saturday coming up. However, I do think it'd be fun to look at other pinball games beyond Sonic, so if that's something of interest to you, let me know. What did you think of Nintendo's pinball games? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe while you're down there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.